Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Public Works Podcast. My name is Joseph Blackman, and today I got a real treat for you. Her name is Lily Lopez, and she is the External Affairs and Sustainability Director for Walnut Valley Water District in beautiful Walnut, California. Lily, say what's up to everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
Sure thing, sure thing. So, Lily, I kind of found you through a lot of I would say some of the AWWA stuff that I've seen on my timeline. I'm not sure if you're at ACE. Were you at ACE?
I was at ACE in
Okay.
Denver. It feels like it was so long ago, but I'm like, that was in June. What
Yeah.
month are we in?
July. Yeah. Does feel like yeah. Okay, so that I felt like you were at ACE. I felt your presence there for sure. It seems like you're doing a lot of cool things, so I said, hey, I need to get Lily on the show. But before we start talking about your involvement with AWWA and all that, External Affairs and Sustainability Director. That's such a vague title. Like external affairs, we kind of know what that means. Sustainability, we kind of know what that means nowadays. Give us kind of the lay of the land of what you do, what your job title speaks to, and then kind of what you're over from day to day.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I do feel like when I introduce myself with my title, everyone always asks, like, what does that mean? And it's different everywhere, right? Like every agency will have their different needs. And I wish there was a way to like have my title be more of a reflection of who I am, which I think I'm just like the chief experience and culture, like connector, I guess. But really what it all encompasses for Walnut Valley Water District is anything that falls under like community outreach, education, conservation awareness, water use efficiency, legislative affairs, public policy, internal communications, external communications when it comes to social media, our online presence, community groups, school groups, stakeholders, putting on events, all of that.
So you don't sleep, huh? That's what it sounds like.
I'm just, it works for me that like the chaos and the running like 100 all the time works for me. And I have a fantastic team. So I'm joined by Donna Delora, who's the manager on my team, Stephanie Fu, and Katrina Lumagwe, who are fantastic. We've been working together for the last like 5 years when I started as director in 2019. And it's been like so much fun. I think what I like to stress with people who are curious about these type of jobs in the water industry is they don't realize how much fun is involved with it. And like as communicators or creatives, graphic designers, video production, like all these new things that I don't think our industry offered is here. And we are having a lot of fun with our operators and our engineers to showcase what water is in a positive light. And that's what I'm really like passionate about too, is highlighting all the work that our operators and engineers and everyone else in our industry, what they do. Because even when I first started, I was just so impressed by everyone. I'm like, why don't they get the praise that, police officers and firefighters and, all type of other utility people do? So I'm definitely a little biased when it comes to water, but yeah. And so I get to tell their story. That's the biggest piece. I get to come up with ideas with my team members and figure out ways to get people excited or interested in what we do. And one of the best components has been our students, because they're looking at us now as like, I want to be a part of this. We just closed out our high school internship program last week. So we had 11 interns from the local community interning with us. And of those, I would say we had our 2 engineers, 5 who were in operations, 2 of them, and then one of the ones in external affairs. So 5 out of the 11 have now chosen to pursue a career in water. So operations, external affairs, engineering, all different, but like now they're looking at us as like, this is where I want to be. And so it's really exciting to see the full circle moments of what my work allows me to do.
Sure. And that was kind of the impetus of why I started the podcast, was that once I got in the industry, I started to realize like these guys don't get any love, man. They don't get the like Fire and PD, there's shows and movies and everything
Oh
for
yeah.
that. But like public works is actually getting the work done so fire can do their job, so police can show up on time. And so that's why I started the show, was just to highlight people like yourself and let you tell your story. And I'm one thing I love about what you said, like I've been saying for years, that every company should have their own media department that tells their own story, whether it's just stuff like day in the life or what you're working on today or what you have coming down the pipeline. Because I mean, I'm sure you see this more than me. Like government has a stigma. A lot of people outside of like the four walls of the government entity, like they don't know what's going on. So automatically they go on the default of, oh, they're not doing right. They're they're ripping us off. They're not listening to us. But when you can grab a camera or start a podcast or whatever and start telling the story, it makes it more human. It makes government more human. It makes people go, oh, that's pretty cool. Like that's why whenever I turn my faucet, the water comes out, because of Jim, Bob, and Billy. They work for Walnut Valley and they're actually getting it done. So what do you say to those out there, maybe some of the other districts that are like, oh, we don't want to show too much, we just kind of want to stay under the radar, that kind of thought process, to like you said, start producing content to show people about what you do?
I have that conversation quite a bit. I actually at ACE was talking to someone who we were in the same leadership program through Duke, their water and innovation leadership program. And he was saying like we're really solid in the community. Like, we're in a good, safe place where like they know kind of what we do and it's positive, and I don't want to put too much out there because what if it turns, or what if it comes out with something? And I was like, but you're losing the opportunity to tell people about all the programs you have, because you want to get the word out about those things, and you can't just pick and choose one or the other, right? So if we can have the investment in your agency to have like its own media department and the people who really get it and are going to protect the agency, I think that's the biggest thing, is you're not just putting stuff out there and you're going to leave it and have people, if it goes bad for some reason or there's a negative impression, they're not just going to leave you hanging, right? Like our media and communication professionals, we are also prepared to respond to things that come up, questions, and be able to answer those. And so having control or involvement in our business story, because we are also businesses in the community, it gives us that voice to be able to answer those questions instead of having the neighbor who knows everything, right, telling everybody else like this is how we operate or this is what we do, because that's not the reality. And we do offer, right, like a lot of public works, like the government programs, there are opportunities that people are missing out on because they're not putting the story out there.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've seen it in real time. That person on that city or on the Facebook page, and they start saying something and it's like completely wrong, but you see they start to get the likes and the comments. Is like, wait, people believe this lady? like what? Like, why doesn't the city just put out a 30-second video explaining what exactly happened on that road at 2 a.m.? And then boom, they could clear the air. But you got to go through so many checks and balances and the bureaucracy and all this and that before it actually be produced, which is a whole nother story. Yeah, we won't talk about that. I want to talk about what works, or what's working for you right now. Community outreach, internal comms, social media, legislative. Let's start with the community outreach. What's been the most fun platform for Lily to be able to get messages out, get messages across?
Oh, that's a good question. The most fun platform. It's definitely not Nextdoor. I'll say that. I know a lot of people, it's so limited for public agencies.
Yeah.
So if anyone out there knows and is thriving in it, let me know. But we've been having a lot of fun just like going out into the community with unique and try. This is the thing about us. We try things, and if it doesn't work, it's like, okay, lesson learned. So one year around Earth Day, we've been we've been doing like Earth Day, Water Festival type events. And so we wanted to try something out at the teen center. The attendance wasn't what we thought. Okay, lesson learned, but we liked the event. And so this year, instead of doing it at the teen center, we were at the park when we knew 2 of the schools across the street were having early day dismissal. And that was perfect, because that's what was like, you just have to be where the people are, and figuring that out, it's like, then they'll come. Like, let's not make things more complicated than it needs to be. And so we were there at the park, all the kids, it was, we were ready, but it was like a wave of energy. We could feel it. And they're like, what is this? And like, they're rushing at us and they have questions. And we had a little activity where they go to all the booths and they get a Kona ice, like free serving. Okay. So they were into that. And then I could hear the kids on the phone be like, Mom, just pull up and come over here because I want to stay longer, or like, I'll walk over there later. And so then their parents were coming, which was like, that was what we knew we wanted to happen, was for them to join. And then it's like, oh, what is this? And it's like, let's talk to you about turf replacement and rebates that we have available, and like sign up for a customer portal. And we would talk to the students of like, oh, we tell your parents, we send them text messages for leak alerts and like emergencies, because it was also the wildfire season was still on everyone's mind. So we're like, let them know, take the sticker home with you and like have them scan the QR code and help them sign up. So things like that. That's been really fun, of just trying different things. And I really appreciate in our industry in water, everyone's sharing what they're doing differently. And so, we'll copy sometimes from another agency, and then like, if it works, it works for us. Like, why not? Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about the public side or agency side, is that you're not competing with the next Water Valley District or the Water District. You can literally go to lunch together, exchange ideas, take what you learned back to your, to your cave and go, hey, we're going to do this. This is what's working for them. We're going to implement it. And then boom, the rising tide raises all ships. Let's talk about the legislative side. That's one thing that it's hard for me to keep tabs on it. I am eager to hear from you, like, how you even keep tabs on what's happening on the city side, the state side, the federal side, to be able to take that information, distill it, and then get it out to whether it's your community, whether it's let's say you're following within an association or nationwide, but just grabbing that knowledge that's happening on the legislative side and distilling it and getting it out to everybody else. How do you execute on that?
That's a really great, like, how do we get even around it? For us, we do have a board of directors. So I think when it comes to legislation, they're definitely our audience of keeping them informed of what's coming down the pipeline and decisions. I mean, in water, specifically in California, with everything with the urban water use objectives and conservation, that was the biggest stressor the last couple of years, I guess, not knowing exactly what that was going to look like. And so really for us, it was just dissecting it and getting that information out locally. For Walnut Valley Water District, we're part of a public water agencies group of about 21 other regional water agencies, going all the way up to, I think, like Palmdale. And so within that, we have a conservation education team from people from all those different agencies that want to work together to share ideas. And that was one of those legislation pieces that were like, what are we going to do? What does this mean? A lot of those agencies don't have staff dedicated to that. Like, they're trying to figure out, well, who's even going to work on this? Are we going to hire consultants? And so I started to put together regional workshops of bringing in Aqua, bringing in the California Water Efficiency Partnership, for them to do basically a debrief of like, this is what it means, this is what it looks like. Sorry about that. That's been really helpful, of just getting an understanding of our objectives that the state is expecting from us. And a lot of it was really helpful to see those agencies were like, when did this happen? Like, why didn't we stop this? And I was like, that ship has sailed. We were the Walnut Valley with a couple of other, with Roland Water District. We actually tried to run a bill that Senator Archuleta supported to make some adjustments, and it didn't make its way through, which is fine. That's how the process goes. But even that, like, awareness within our own industry of what's happening. And luckily, I think being involved in associations like Aqua, like CSDA, that have specific employees dedicated to following the legislative cycle, makes it easier for me to identify, okay, we need to watch these bills, or it's going to impact us. It's going to, if it's not a water related bill, it's going to impact HR because it's related to labor or safety from Cal OSHA. So there's just a lot of just keeping everyone in the loop. And it's more of that, I think, that internal communication with our collaboration amongst each other, like that. This is I don't want this to be a surprise to anyone on our team. Yeah.
Sure. The internal communication, that's always fun to listen to, how a communicator like yourself, because I would say your focus is communicating with the community, the ratepayers, and making sure they know what's going on. But like, what do you guys do internally? Is there like a Lily Lopez newsletter that goes out every Monday? Like, hey, here's the updates internally. Is there like I remember in middle school, there was like a TV show where they played, somebody would get up there and give the State of the Union for the middle school for everybody. So what do you guys do for internal communications to, again, like, let people know what's going on, what you guys are working on internally?
That's been ever evolving for us as we've figured out what works for our team, because again, I actually love that. I'm like, I'd love to be on a TV and like everyone gets the announcement, or our little our phone system, and do like a call over that, just to share things. I'm very big, like, there's donuts in the in the crew room, like, let's all get together. But internally, we actually this year formalize our event experience team. So it's internal team members from different departments, and we are looking at ways of like how to enhance collaboration and our culture of engagement, because it's important for us that we're connecting all these different generations within the workforce, and that this is a place where people want to be at and are happy coming here. So I think that's the key piece of, like, not only are we communicating what's, if we have an event or a gathering, and celebrating like promotions and certifications, so that people can, high five their team member. It's also like, how can we create and enhance our workforce culture here, and have avenues where people can give us feedback as well. So we have different internal committees, so the event experience team committee, we do have our DEI committee, we have a wellness committee, and so it's team members that are really looking at connecting us through whatever it is. Like, at the end of a month, we'll have a half an hour meditation, and whoever wants to go up to our training room and take that time, and one of our team members will lead that. Or we're looking at October, it's Filipino American month. Can we do like a lunch, and the members who are Filipino, like, can they share that? They're like, let's do karaoke. So just finding ways to have fun with each other, and get to know each other. Because I'm sure, like a lot of other places, we're having, new team members come and go. People are starting to retire. So there's a lot of new faces. There's a lot of change. And we don't want people to feel like, oh, my friends are leaving and it's just me that's left, or that they don't know the younger people coming in. So that's kind of a key piece of the internal communications for us.
Okay. I'll be sure to make a trip out there when you guys are serving lumpia for Filipino month.
Right? Yeah.
Never miss that. Give us the day in the life of Lily Lopez. Pick a random Tuesday. What is Lily doing from the time you get to work to the time you leave? What does it look like?
So if I'm here, right, so being at the office, I think one of the fun things that I enjoy, and we, mentioned briefly being involved with AWWA. Now it's looking different because I could be out at different events or board meetings. But when I'm at the district, it could be I'll come in, I'll check my calendar, I'll check emails of like what's changing, because we might have an idea and then something will pop up of like someone needs me somewhere else, so I'll rearrange the day. Super flexible with that. But it could be from, we're going to put out information that we're changing our hours, so we're moving to like a 410 schedule, so we want to make sure all of our social media highlights are scheduled, they're ready to go. We're letting customer service know like, hey, we're putting this information out there in case they start getting calls. We make sure our website and everything else in our presence is aligned. I'll go and attend different executive team meetings, so we'll have our weekly touch bases, strategic meetings, and then checking in with my team members of like, where are they at? Do they need my help? And then it could, I mean, from there, it's going to change, I guess, the season, right? If we're in like May, we're doing a lot of our outreach events with our community for Water Awareness Month. So it could be, I'll go out with the team and we'll start setting up our event spaces. I'll make sure talking points for our board directors are ready, mingling with everyone. It'll look like that. And then at the end of the day, that's usually when I'll try and just get in front of the computer for a little bit and prepare for the next day.
Interesting. It sounds fun. Like, to be honest, I think if somebody were listening to this, they're in high school, college, they want to be able to have the conservation aspect about them, plus also the social media marketing outreach aspect. Like, this is a cool job to have.
Yeah.
Give us kind of your career path from, let's say, high school to college to up until today, just so somebody can model their career path after yours, so they can end up in a cool position like yours is.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I really did think I was getting into like an Ivy League school. I tell people this all the time because it's like, you have to really be of the mindset of like, yeah, I'm that person, I'm going to get into that, you know? And I think I've always had a little bit of that delusion, which helps me in life.
Yeah, we need that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Like, yeah. So I really did think that was going to happen, and it didn't, which also, okay, let's start to build resilience when things don't go the way we imagined. So I went to UC Santa Barbara. And I remember like it was between going to UC Santa Barbara and going to Cal State Fullerton. And I think because I had created this vision of like, yeah, I'm going to go, you know, on the East Coast and be at a Ivy League school. And then I was like, well, I'll just stay here and like, you know, commute between. And my mom was like, no, you can still have that sense of like being at a college and doing all that just because it looks different. So I'm really glad she, you know, reminded me of my goals, and I wanted to be away from home. I do encourage people to step out of their community and what is known, even if it's for a little bit, when they can, right? I'm also a big proponent of going to a JC for 2 years and then transferring once you know, like, okay, this is what I really want to pursue. But for me, the whole college experience of the 4 years and like living on campus, living off campus, building that community there was a really big part of what led me to where I am today, because that taught me how to talk to people. It taught me how to advocate for myself and others when I was going for internships or involved in different student groups. I think those skills that communicators, like we build that through people to people experiences and building community wherever we are. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, if it's at home, if it's in your work, if it's at school, whatever, like you practice that and you live by it. And so after I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, I thought I was going to go into politics and law school and all that. And I worked at the state capitol in Sacramento for an assembly member. And at the time, he was the chair of the Latino caucus in California. And he really exposed me to so many different public policy issues. And I actually started to work on some of the water legislative bills because he represented the Salinas, Monterey area. And so agricultural, that was my first exposure to that side of California and what's coming up there. And then just a lot of really great social and educational issues. And so I learned a lot. And the key thing was the people part. I realized I didn't love the political life that you're on 24/7 and going to a lot of events that I also like a good work-life balance. And so I knew that wasn't for me, but the communicating, what the work is and the story and why we're here to help people, that's what drew me to really like choose that as my focus. And then I worked at 2 PR firms before I joined the water district. And at those firms, I was working with all different types of businesses, from casinos to fire and police associations, veterans associations, and also some water agencies. And so that's how I got my introduction to water. And we were working on a project. And I remember they were just like very happy and pleasant and seemed to really enjoy the work that they were doing. And I was like, what is this? And so they shared. And so then I started looking for those opportunities in Southern California. I had moved back by that time. And the opportunity at Walnut Valley came up, and it was a new department. So the former general manager, he had decided to split up the person before. It was, they were HR/outreach/administration/ all that. So,
oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Which is like,
HR and
too
outreach.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't really go ahead. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And so they split the departments up. So they created the external affairs and sustainability department, and then they created a different department for the other needs of the agency. So I remember seeing the job application come out, the description. And they were looking for someone who had 10 years of experience in water and, the whole thing. But I was like, I can do all of this. I'm 27 at the time. I had a bunch of just, like work experience. And I was just, that like hustling mentality, which I don't always promote now because I didn't realize I was probably just burning myself out. But it did help me get to where I am. And it worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but if you can, go for it. And so I remember just I can do this job. I know I can, and it would be fun. I want this. And so I applied, and then again with the delusion, I was like, start preparing for an interview. And so I reached out to everyone in my network that was, growing in their career or past mentors. And I was like, can we just do interview prep? And my former GM, he was like, you can't prepare for an interview. I was like, yes, you can. I was like, you don't know what's going to be on there, but you can absolutely do your best to practice what you're saying and telling.
Yeah.
Especially if you can get access to higher level people, they'll tell you what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I did. I prepped as much as I could, and then when I got the interview, within that week, I was asked to come back, and then I got the job offer. And I knew the biggest thing was, I was 27. And so coming in to manage a whole department, I knew that was their biggest concern. And so I was like, let's not beat around the bush. I was like, I know you're probably thinking how am I going to manage that? But I was like, I can do it. And if I really can't, I'm going to lean on you. That's what you're there for. I will let you know when I need help, but I know I can do this. And yeah, he gave me the opportunity. And the last 6 years now being with the district has been amazing. And I've had, when I started, it was, okay, we have our rate increase. And then we had the pandemic. So it was really learning by fire, which worked for me, it worked in that sense. And then I think bringing in the leadership development, and I really started to focus on young professional development within our agency and getting involved with AWWA at the section at level as well as the association level. That really helped me learn about water, everything that we're trying to accomplish, and really like grow my passion.
Yeah.
And almost like loyalty, I know
Sure. Yeah.
people ask me all the time, like, oh, you could be doing this or that. And I do feel this sense of loyalty to our industry. And it might be because of the opportunity that I got that really was life-changing for me. But I don't know. I don't see myself doing anything else other than like personal hobbies that have nothing to do with water.
No, you said so much there, so much to unpack. One thing is kind of like I want to echo is that job description. I mean,
Yeah.
like for those out there listening, apply for that job. Even if it doesn't scream, or if you don't scream that you have those qualifications. 10 years of water experience. Like, who has 10 years of water experience? Like, let's be honest. Like, besides the guy who's been out there for 30 years and he's leaning over a pipe right now. You get what I'm saying? So like, in order for us to get good people, i.e. Lily Lopez, we have to be able to be okay with, okay, you might not have 10 years of water experience, but from your track record of what you've been doing, you can definitely communicate. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then also what you said about like those years of hustle, of like you said, burning the candle at both ends, doing more than you felt like the average human could be doing. Like, you accelerated your learning in those years. You took yourself, it made yourself more valuable in those years, and pretty much sped up. Like, when you arrived at, let's say 30, 31, 32 years old, you're like 40 years, because you accelerated what you learned during those 20 years in your 20s. So, I mean, that's another thing, is a lot of people, work-life balance is great, but there's going to be a time in your life you're going to have to get ahead. And that's how you get ahead, is you do more, you try more, you fail more. So I would go ahead.
I think that's a really good point of sometimes too, like, you don't know that you're going to get what you want at the end. Like, there was times where I really was like, what am I working for? Like, I'm not there yet. Like, I have a really great support system of girlfriends from like college. We had, we've been friends for the last 10 years, and we are all excelling in our careers. Like, one is a chief of staff for a very high level position in the state. Another, was pursuing an MPA at the same time that they were working, like all these amazing things. And I just remember, like, I'm not happy with where I'm at. But then you can't like give up. You have to like just keep pushing until you get there. And I think that's that fear of like, don't let that stop you, because it looked different for me. Like, I didn't think I was going to end up exactly where I was, but I was like, this was what I was working for without knowing it.
Yeah, for sure. And kind of what you're experiencing now, like, you can take your gifts, skills, and talents now and apply it to any other type of government entity, because you can learn the skill, you can learn the industry, and still apply your communication knack or tactics to that industry, which I think is huge. When a lot of people don't really think about it, it's the skill stacking that you accumulate over time when you hop into different industries, when you learn different skills. You just, again, make yourself more valuable. As a communicator, what keeps you up at night? Like 3 a.m., you're staring at the ceiling, you can't go to sleep because of work. What is that?
For me, it's just always like, what if some emergency is happening and they forgot to tell me about it? Like, that's my biggest thing. Yeah, I'm like, obviously they need to do the work and the job needs to get done, but I'm always like, I'm gonna wake up to like a flurry of stuff on Facebook and Instagram of like people freaking out, and then I'm like, what's happening? And so that's like a bad habit. I'm not working, but I am checking before bed, like, just to make sure everything's quiet. And because sometimes too, like, residents will post stuff online before they reach out to us, and like before they think to like call like our emergency line.
Like, there's a 30-foot water main spout, but I'm not going to call the city. I'm going to take a picture and put it on Facebook first.
Yeah. So that's what kind of keeps me, was like, okay, is something happening? Or just, I guess too, we're very proactive in our emergency response. We just did this really cool, almost like escape room style training. Temergent, shout out to Temergent. I'm a big fan. I feel like a lot of agencies should be doing this, because that's always on my mind of like, what if the big one hits or something happens, are we really like ready for it? And so that'll like come up in my mind quite often of yeah, like what if this is it? And I also watch a lot of, you know, movies. And that's been a trend, right? Of like,
Yeah.
you know, we're in like a digital blackout, and like how does that impact SCADA and like all of our systems and and talking to people? Like how do we get the message out then when that's happening?
It's funny, these movies that are coming out, like the doomsday stuff, like they're getting a little scary close of like what exactly is happening. It kind of makes me scratch my head, but I won't go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Google Alerts. Are you familiar with the concept of Google Alerts and what they do? What are yours set to? Kind of give us a peek behind the curtain of what your Google Alerts are set to as a communicator.
So I actually ended up going away from Google Alerts because it was too much. I was getting things that didn't apply to us, and I was like, "This is annoying." We as an agency like aren't big enough to like jump into Google Alerts. So I was getting things of like, "This is not my problem. That's the city's problem." You know,
that's their problem.
Yeah. So really like ours is just, you know, our social media, and then I will try and get into those like next door alerts. That's my headache is like as a public agency, we can't like be in the community like as if I'm just a neighbor type of thing. And then our board's great because they will kind of notify us. People reach out to them a lot too. We have a really big Chinese American population, and most of our board members are also Chinese American. And so they have that like trust within the community. So we'll hear things that kind of come up that aren't necessarily like on my digital radar.
Okay. What would you say is one of the biggest skill sets for somebody to pick up to be successful at what you currently do?
I was thinking about this when I was sharing kind of just my path and my journey that I'm seeing not happen as much. And I don't know if it's the post-pandemic vibes, but I feel like the networking has dropped a lot. And I get it. I don't
agree.
Right? Like the after work stuff. I remember in my 20s, like that's all that mattered was like Monday to Thursday. It was like the after work, work social.
The happy hours, hey, where are we all meeting at? You know,
and then like sometimes it would turn into a late night, but you're building relationships with people who worked in, you know, the office next to you, and like that you're not going to get that time with them during work hours. And I've seen that drop a lot. And I'm not saying you can only get that at a bar or a happy hour, but I haven't seen the space to replace those opportunities come up either. And so a really big piece of that is having a network and a support system. I've really stepped into like, I advocate, you know, you see those posts, it'll be like, make sure the person is talking about you in the room that you're not in. And I do that for people, right? Like I'll shout out someone who I believe in their business or my team members, and I give credit. But then it's like, if you're that person and you don't have that relationship with someone who will do that for you, how are you building it? And that's what worries me for a lot of our young professionals is like, how can they build those relationships with the people who are going to advocate for them? And then I built a lot of friendships through that, you know, like through the networking, or you're volunteering at some type of conference event. You end up making like really great friendships that then connect you to all these things, you know. Like I sent one of my friends that I met through the section, through volunteering, an opportunity to apply to be on the board of AWWA. And it's like, because she's my friend and I think she's amazing and I'd love to see her on that. But if you're not making those friendships and relationships, like how are you going to get the opportunities? And that's, you know, I've seen that kind of like stop in a sense, or it's just not the same.
I'd agree. I think a lot of people use the COVID experience to kind of spend more time sitting on the couch. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had children during those years, and it's like it's kind of hard to get that muscle back of like you said, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock comes around, you're texting the people that you know, what's going on, what are we doing tonight, where are we at tonight, like what, and we don't do that anymore. And
Yeah.
it kind of makes me think like, man, like you're saying, how can you develop those relationships of people that can go to bat for you when you're not around, if you don't develop those relationships, if you're not out there actively shaking hands, kissing babies, telling people about what you do, telling people about your wins and your losses, just so they can speak highly on you when you're not around. And now you're right. This podcast is great for that person.
Well, it's even like going to lunch too. Like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are working through their lunches or like having lunch at their desk, and I'm like, oh, like no, like that used to be a great networking feature too. Like go to lunch with someone or like invite a person that you're interested in having coffee with, like that. I just actually had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, people will make time for you. And I think that was like a message that's gone of like, people will make time for those who are reaching out, right? And you want to build up.
No, there's a book that I read years ago. It's called Never Eat Alone. And in that topic, or that title itself, just speaks so much about like, everybody's going to eat every day. Like, just reach out and see if they want to eat with you.
Yeah.
Whether you go Dutch or you pay for it, they pay for it, doesn't matter. Just try to get as many people on your lunch calendar as possible, and you'd be surprised where your network goes after that. After a year of doing that. So
yeah,
I could talk about networking all day, every day. How does Lily continue to upskill? Whether it's water or communications, like where do you go to get your information from? How do you continue to learn and stay sharp year after year?
That was something I was always worried about, was like, okay, I came in, I was young, I had all these ideas. I'm like, what happens? Like, am I just gonna dry out, and is it gonna stop at some point, right? Where I was like, how am I gonna keep the momentum? And I think what's helped a lot is like going to conferences in other places than just California. Because when I get exposed to like issues outside of my bubble, you're like, yeah, that these are the things going on, and these are how other people are approaching them in ways that I didn't think of. Asking questions. I still do a lot of the how and the why. How is that done? Why is that done? Could we do this? With people who I know have been working in the industry for a long time. And so that's been helpful of when they're like, no, it can't be done. I was like, yes, it can. How can I figure that out? And using AI, like I really do like AI, and just like workshopping ideas. And then leadership development programs. I've been involved in a few. The Transformative Water Leadership Academy through AWWA and Water Now Alliance. And then I mentioned Duke was hosting a program as well. And the California Water Education Foundation has a water leaders program. So, sometimes I think people might get fatigued from applying to stuff or keeping up with it, but that was really helpful because you have these people who are putting together the space, the curriculum, the network, the mentorship, and all you need to do is show up, and you apply and you show up. And that's been super helpful really for me. Is I think that's elevated and continues to elevate my experience and led me to then pursue, joining the AWWA board, because you continue to meet people, and then people are excited for you, and they introduce you to someone, and then they're like, that when people were sending me the information of like, you should apply for this, and and when someone tells you should apply for it, you probably should.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're giving you a wink of like, hey, dude, I got you. Just put in your app. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, I'm thinking of you, and you this sounds like you, so just do it. Yeah.
For sure. No, I like that. What did you say is the biggest misconception about what you do? Like, let's say you're at a dinner party, some random person asks you, so Lily, these seem cool, what do you do? And you tell them like, you are the external affairs and sustainability director. Like, what do you think they think?
I think a lot of it, they think I'm just having fun. at our agency, our former GM a while ago, for example, like our salary ranges for all department heads, everyone is on the same salary range. And I remember mentioning that to someone in one of my leadership programs, and they're like, absolutely not. Like, no, the operators should be getting paid more. Like they do more. And 100, like I've already mentioned, I think they do a lot. They deserve the spotlight, but I think there's always kind of still that rhetoric of who's doing more or less. And the reality is it's not that anyone's doing more or less, it's that we are all doing something different, and what we bring is a different business asset. So yes, like, you know, the people who are technical, they're making everything happen and flow and the system's going, and that's fine. But now where we are in society and like the day and age with social media and like the news attention, your business, and you need to have your business investment. And that's where I see myself and my team is like where the business of our brand and who we are, and making sure that that's like the voice that people are hearing instead of people making it up. So I think that's, you know, the hardest piece of just letting people know, like, we're not just having fun and creating cool social media videos and graphics. It comes with a lot of work. We're developing those relationships for our agency, right? Connecting us to other agencies and associations and elevating, you know, who my agency is in our industry itself. And we're all, you know, like all my team members, we're all highly educated as well. You know, we all have our bachelor degrees in different fields of specialization, and then we're continuing to pursue, you know, our accreditation in public relations or our certificates in different water programs as well. So I think highlighting that as well, that communicators and media professionals and strategic, you know, advisors and consultants, we're all part of that circular function, even though we're not working like on the system itself.
Yeah, yeah. No, I totally can echo that. Just because you're not out there actually doing something
Right.
doesn't mean you're not doing anything. Like a plane needs two wings to fly. You know, you can't have one wing, you can't have one side just doing something to get it done. I communicate probably more than the most, you know, the average water or public works entrepreneur, and that's what I do. That's kind of how I write my ship, if that makes sense. So when people say, "Oh, well, what do you do?" It's like, well, this is what I do, and like whether the value is perceived by you to be high enough, that doesn't matter. Like what I'm doing is what I'm doing, and I can totally understand why they come at you like that, but I understand your rebuttal and saying, no, like I actually get stuff done, and here's why I do it, and here's the value I provide from it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate your attitude behind that, by the way.
Yeah. And I think people forget, I'm like, I can tell you too. I was like, I'll show you the different ways I bring money in for, you know, our programs. And so it's like, if you need that business mindset model, like I'll do it.
Good for you. Good for you. Most people aren't as, you know, as as pointed in the responses like that. So I appreciate your response. All right. So let's say you're commissioned to put up a billboard, and this billboard is in the most trafficked area of the Walnut Valley District. What ask of your community in regards to water would you want to put on this billboard?
I mean, we've always done, you know, California's like save water, stop using less water. Our community's done great. So I don't think that's the message for us anymore. I think we're in a really good place to start looking beyond that. So really it's like trust our professionals, because our people are doing the work and they're advancing themselves, I think, in ways that no one really understands with their educational and technical expertise. So it's like trust, like to trust us, you know, we're doing what needs to be done. And like we were talking about earlier, people don't think about, like you said, Jim Bob and whoever making the system like it's safe. That's what I want to highlight. Again, it's the people behind the curtain that are doing everything.
Sure. All right. I always like to leave a space on the show for you to thank mentors that you had along your journey. And then I want you to give a word of inspiration and motivation to your fellow communicator counterparts or water communicator counterparts across the nation.
Okay. Well, my greatest mentor and advocate was Eric Hitchman, who's our former general manager. So big shout out to him, as well as my partner who's at Walnut Water District. So Robert Leamy is always helping. Yeah, always helping me when I'm like, I don't know what this means. Explain it to me.
You get your questions answered. You got your own chat GPT, like living with you. It's great.
Yeah, like 20 plus years of experience, like at home when I'm like, I was in this meeting, it doesn't make sense. Explain it. I'm not trying to, be in that position again. So that's really helpful. And words of inspiration, you said, for the rest?
Yeah, for your fellow communicator counterparts across the country.
Do the things that bring you the most joy. And don't be afraid of the hard work and what anyone else is saying. My partner's daughter, we were talking about like college, and I was like, what do you want to do now? She's like, I want to go to law school. I want to do this. I said, okay, once people start telling you can't do it, tell them you are, and this is who's going to support you. So for everyone out there that has that seed of an idea, do it and find the people who support you and are going to, shout your name in every place and believe in you, and then forget about everybody else.
Gotcha. All right, Lily, let's say I'm coming to town and I text you ahead of time. I say, where can I go to get the best burger in Walnut? Where are you going to send me?
Well, if we're staying in Walnut, it's going to be In-N-Out. But
no change.
I'm going to change it and be like, we're not going to go get burgers. We're going to go out for sushi.
Okay.
And we're going to go out for Japanese barbecue. So all you can eat. Yeah. There's a place close to us in Rowland Heights called Chubby Cattle. I highly recommend it. It's delicious. You've got Wagyu steak cuts. You've got, unlimited sushi, like premium pieces. You got a curry bar. You've got a sidebar. You've got a boba tea station, unlimited soft serve. The vibe, it's all there. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You just Chubby Cattle, and we're walking out like little stuffed cows.
Yeah. I love it. Chubby Cattle in Rowland Heights. I would definitely check that out on my next trip to California. Lily, thanks for hopping on the podcast today. Thanks for sharing your wealth of information and knowledge with us. To all the listeners out there, make sure you share this with somebody who you think needs to hear it. Lily, any final words before we get out of here?
Water is so much fun. Enjoy it. Build the friendships. Have fun. Like, I think that's the biggest thing is work can be fun as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Lily, thanks for hopping on. This has been the Public Works Podcast.